The New York Yankees lost to the Toronto Blue Jays, and it's really exciting in Toronto because it's the first time they'll be competing for a pennant since Canada became the 51st state. Hey, why do New York Jets players buy Michelin tires? Because they don't know what a good year is. The Aces looking to sweep the Mercury tonight in the WNBA Finals. Yes, Aja Wilson playing spectacularly. Jackie Young also for the Aces. Most basketball fans right now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking to yourself, I'm sorry, did you say something about Caitlin Clark? And finally, Bill Belichick having a tough time down in North Carolina leading the Tar Heels in the NCAA football season there. But fear not, Coach Belichick says he's got his eye on a brand new quarterback prospect. He looks a little older than he really is, and his name is Tim Brody. Okay, it's that time again. Let's pick 6. 5 from football, 1 from baseball. Again, last week we had that miraculous pick, 23-20. The exact score we picked and the upset of the New England Patriots over the Buffalo Bills. You got to get yourself some gems like that if you're going to be doing sports betting. And again, thank you very much for tuning into this show where you're going to find some gems like that. By the way, the Seattle Mariners and the Detroit Tigers right now are playing in the bottom of the 5th. Actually, it's the end of the 5th. Seattle Mariners are up 1-0. It's win or go home in this one. That's how important it is in October. So, the first game we're going to pick is the London game. Yes, exciting. The NFL goes to London to play in front of the crowd of British. Yes, we're going to go with the Jets winning 42-35. The Broncos are 7.5-point favorites, and they're giving us 43.5 points on this one. We're going to take the over by a long shot. I mean, a long over. 42-35. I mean, that's 77 points. Now, the Jets are dismal. Everybody knows that. You heard the crack I made at the top of the show about them. They don't know what it's like to have a good season. But they're playing for pride in this game. I mean, they're traveling, they're going overseas to play in front of a foreign crowd of potential lifelong fans. 42-35. The Jets upset the Broncos in jolly old England. The next game we're going to pick is going to be the Jaguars hosting the Seahawks. The Jaguars are 1-point favorites in this game. It's going to be 28-24. Jaguars beating the Seahawks in Jacksonville. We're going with the over on this game as well. 47.5 points. I think it's going to be a 52-point total at the end between the two teams. All right, the Rams and the Ravens. The Ravens not having a good year. 1-4 is not what I would call a Ravens type of year. Yeah, and the Rams are 3-2, struggling to find their identity right now. Which team are they? Are they the team that fumbles on the goal line, or are they the team that, pounds them with the running game and Stafford with the passing game? They don't know yet. They don't know which way to go. It's 3-2, their record. We're going to go, the game is going to be 18-14. We're going with the under because they're giving us 44.5 points. Okay, Lions going into Kansas City. This is the Sunday night game. Exciting. Really exciting because the Chiefs got to get something going. This is it for the Chiefs. Mahomes is itching to get that second run, at a dynasty. And but the Lions, have had really good years lately. Speaking of good years, don't they make them in Detroit? I don't know. I know that there's a tire symbol for the Detroit Red Wings, and I'm sorry, hockey fans, we've got no hockey for you tonight. We're gonna do something about that. I mean, the preseason's almost over. We'll start talking about hockey more seriously here, and you notice I haven't talked about basketball either. So let me get to the picks. All right, we're going to go with the Lions defeating the Chiefs in Kansas City. It's going to be 38-15. They're giving us 52.5 points. We're going to go with the over. Yeah, it's going to be 53 points at the end of the game. Chiefs losing to the Lions, despite the fact that they're 2.5-point favorites. All right, Bears at Commanders. Yes, this is the last football game on our slate here, our slate of 6. 34-30, Commanders will defeat the Bears in Washington. Yes, they're giving us 50. We're going to take 64. We're taking the over. The Commanders at 3-2. They're doing well again now that they've got Jaden Daniels back there. The Bears 2-2. They could go either way. I think this game they're going to lose. They could win next week's game after that. Just very ho-hum at this point. Not like the Giants, and we're going to talk about that in a second here. All right, the last game we're picking in our pick 6 is going to be the Brewers defeating the Cubs Saturday night. Yeah, it's going to be 7 points they give us, so we're going to say 6 points. 4-2 Brewers, who are 1.5-point favorites. They're going to beat them by 2. And that is the pick 6. We hope you enjoy and also gamble responsibly. Still 1-0. Seattle Mariners on top of the Detroit Tigers at the top of the 6th inning. That is your baseball update. Did you guys see the last play on the Dodgers-Phillies game? I wanted to talk to you guys about this because it definitely gave me Bill Buckner vibes. Of course, I'm talking about Kerkering, pitcher for the Phillies, who had a grounder hit to him, and he struggled to stop it. And then he stood up and threw it to home instead of first base, which would have got the out and ended it, And he threw to home, only he threw it as if he was throwing it over the mountains on the horizon. As if he was playing catch with his dad, who lived in another country. Kerkering, he's going to never live that down in the city of Philadelphia. It definitely gave me Bill Buckner vibes in that legendary Boston Red Sox meltdown at the hands of the Mets. When Bill Buckner let the ball go right by him. You remember, little roller up along first, behind the bag. Vin Scully with the amazing call in that game. It was something else, but at any rate, LA moves on. They get to rest finally. An 11-game inning is very hard to recover from during this time of year when everybody is just tired and done. But salute to the Dodgers, playing fantastically. I'm kind of sad the Yankees aren't going to meet us. Maybe the Dodgers don't make it to the World Series. But my cousin Marco says that they're going to make it, so that makes it true. They're going to win it, he says. So that makes it true. And they're playing baseball like no other team right now. I don't see any other team. Maybe the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays have a very tough squad. They've got a good bullpen. That's how they beat the Yankees. That's how they eliminated the Yankees. Toronto is a tough team. By the way, the Tigers just took the lead 2-1 over the Seattle Mariners here at the top of the 6th inning. Oh, boy. Wow, that is big. It's going to be interesting to see how this game shakes out here. Wow. Let's see. Tomorrow we've got the Cubs Brewers. Of course, we told you on that one. We're picking, I believe I said the Brewers 4-2, I believe I said. Yeah, the Yankees fell to the Blue Jays. It wasn't pretty. You got to give credit to the Blue Jays, though. Again, they won with that solid bullpen play. Their pitching was tremendous. Pitching is really the way that you win in the big leagues. You can't get around it. That's how Boston finally broke the curse of the Bambino. It wasn't through any kind of, hokum or hocus pocus or magic or anything like that. They started out pitching the Yankees and all the other teams. It's pretty simple. And the Dodgers have been living by this philosophy for years now. We're now going to see the retirement of Clayton Kershaw, who was at the very beginning of this Dodgers era in which they finally won some titles and energized the city of LA, But speaking of energizing cities, the Yankees might have lost, but New York has the Giants, and the Giants are there to save the day. They're there to save Christmas in the city of New York. You know, the way Dart is playing, all out, you know, take no prisoners. Well, he's a rookie. I mean, what do you expect? He hasn't been broken apart by somebody like Lawrence Taylor yet. Which reminds me, Dart, learn how to slide. You're going to do a lot better in the league. He needs to learn how to slide. Scattaboo, the running back for the New York Giants, I think he had like 93 yards in this past Thursday's game where they won over the Eagles. What a week to be a Philadelphia fan. I mean, you know, the Philadelphia Phillies were eliminated last night. The Eagles lost on Thursday night. I mean, just, well, it was the same night, Thursday night, wasn't it? I don't know. I don't know what day it is anymore, folks. And anyway, I can tell you one thing about Dart and Scattaboo. They're going to be big in New York if they continue to do what they're doing. And finally, we'll have our New York football that we've been clamoring for on this show since, by God, I don't know, years now. Only been doing this particular show for 3 weeks, but for years I've been clamoring for New York football to get better. You hear me talking New York Jets? All right. Well, I think we can probably get close to wrapping it up. I guess we're going to wrap up the show talking about college football. I will tell you a funny story, though. I did go to see the Los Angeles Raiders when I was a kid. Went with my uncle and my aunt and a cousin Marcos. And we were in the stands, and my uncle, Raymond, he's got some binoculars, you know, some really big binoculars, right? And I'm like, can I use the binoculars to see the game? You know, we were sitting under the torch of the Coliseum in L.A., and it was Bo Jackson playing for the Los Angeles Raiders. This was back when they had Bo Jackson, Marcus Allen. I think it was Jay Schrader. I don't remember who was the quarterback. It was so long ago. But we were in the end zone under the torch, and he wouldn't give me the big flask, and I gave it away. He wouldn't give me the big binoculars. But then finally he said, all right, look. And he pulled out a smaller set of binoculars. Said, here, you can use these. And I was like, well, wow, thanks, you know. So I look, and Bo Jackson went from being an ant to being like, you know, like a bed bug or something. I don't know, whatever. He got a little bit bigger. I'm like, ugh. But turns out my uncle unscrewed the cap, one of the caps on the giant binoculars, and started drinking from it. I gave away the story. I said flask. I shouldn't have done that. See, that was stupid. Anyway, he also found a silver chain in the parking lot that was worth like $200 that day. Talk about luck. Yeah. I need to get out and see a football game again soon. It's not quite the same experience as seeing it on the big screen at home, but, you know, it's still fun. Baseball is really where it's at when you talk about going to see a live game. I've seen the Lakers, the Dodgers, the Raiders, the A's, seen the Angels, a lot of big league teams, but baseball is really where it's at. Dodger Stadium, Angels Stadium. So let's talk about college football to wrap up the show here. You know, so number 3, Oregon is hosting number 7, Indiana. You heard me right, the Indiana Hoosiers. And I wanted to talk to you about this game because, you know, everywhere the Ducks go, they're the star. You know, they're the celebrity. You know, they are the Nike ordained crown prince of college football. You know, they always got the different uniforms on. You know, the Ducks are really a top tier level program. Indiana Hoosiers, when have you ever heard of their football team being ranked in the top 10? At least I haven't. I'll have to go back and look, but the Ducks are 7.5-point favorites. You know, the Indiana Hoosiers are ranked well within the top 10. They're number 7. So that means they're being taken very seriously by Sports Illustrated and all the sports writers. The only thing I know about the Hoosiers is that they've been famous for their basketball teams and the movie with Gene Hackman, incredible late actor Gene Hackman, in that great movie, The Hoosiers. But as far as football is concerned, I mean, they have never been, you know, like a top 25 team in college football, the BCS contenders, never anything like that. But it's an unofficial pick, Anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and pick the Hoosiers to beat the Ducks in Autzen. I know you're thinking to yourself, are you not well? No, I like the Cinderella story. I like the underdog. I think the Indiana Hoosiers can do it, which would really turn some heads in this country. It would really turn some heads in college football if that team can beat the Ducks in Autzen, where that noise level is sick. Yeah, we're going to go with the Hoosiers. All right, you guys take care of yourselves. Thank you very much for tuning in. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and we hope, you make good use of all the stuff you found here today. Remember, at the end of the day, it is a show, so be responsible and do the right thing, all right? You guys take care and have a great weekend.